Hey guys, good to see you all. Put faces on everybody. Yeah, my name is Alex, but in Discord and everywhere else, I'm AX07. I'm an endorsed delegate, and yeah, my journey started like maybe I think 4 to 5 months ago as an endorsed delegate, and it's been a pretty nice ride, to be honest. I started from zero, so I was very active in the community, in the Discord and the forums, and yeah, so basically after that, being active in the community and Discord, I got the opportunity to be an endorsed delegate, and I currently have 2.5 million tokens delegated to me, and so it's been like a very serious job for me to start getting to talk to the community, to see when votes are up, what the community thinks about each vote, and trying to get into consideration everybody else. And yeah, so I really like the way that DYDX is going right now, in the sense that we're being more going through the path of being a DAO. I really love the idea of a DAO, a decentralized autonomous organization. It's crazy to me, like all of this crypto blockchain, how the blockchain works, and now how companies can work without being a central entity in the working everything out. So we can all work together to move forward and grow. And yeah. Hope DYDX becomes the #1 perpetuals contracts exchange in the world, and I'm here to contribute and to do my best to make that possible.
Awesome. How did you get into DYDX in the first place? Like, are you a trader, or were you just fascinated by DeFi in general?
Yeah, so I was a trader, but I was trading like in BitMEX, and I saw that it wasn't for me. It was like very centralized, and then there was like these things that they were saying about the order book, they were manipulating the order book and all that. So, and it was when I started looking into DeFi, and so I was looking for some decentralized finance perpetual contract exchange. And DYDX was the #1 at the time. I was in since V1, so I was in from the beginning. So there wasn't like leverage in the sense that we have right now, that we can do like 25x or 10x or whatever. It was like 2, 3, 5x max. But I was amazed that about DeFi in general as well. But with DYDX, how the product, it was a great product. I really liked the UI and UX, and it was amazing. And I was just amazed with how like this idea of a DAO, and I well, obviously at the time it wasn't a DAO, but trying to build up for DYDX to be a DAO is something that I really am passionate about, and making that possible. So yeah, that was as a trader, I began using the product.
Awesome. Appreciate the insights there, Alex. Anyone else wants to jump in with a round of introductions and how they got into DYDX and their experiences so far? Or if anyone has any questions for Alex, feel free to shoot. I guess this whole conversation is meant to be a more casual one. It's not like an interview. I hope I'm not structuring it that way. Yeah, the whole purpose is just to have everyone hanging and chatting about topics that are important for the current version of DYDX and for V4, but for a first session, again, hoping to keep it casual, just having everyone get to know each other, their experiences, and what they think of being an endorsed delegate right now. So yeah, feel free to kind of raise your hand or just unmute yourself and speak. If not, I'm just gonna start pointing fingers.
I can I can
Thank you. Thank you.
do the next round. I think we are one of the latest additions to the Endorsed Delegate roster. I'm a part of Flipside Crypto. We are a blockchain data provider and have tagged and labeled data of like 20 plus blockchains at the moment. And part of our operation is so Flipside is there to help protocols succeed. And basically the offering has the data part where we just curate the data that then analysts can use to gain insights into what's happening on the blockchains. And then the other parts are advocacy, which kind of makes sure that we understand what's happening in the ecosystems and then direct analysts to illuminate exactly the points that are most interesting to the community. And then governance, which I'm a part of, where we try to help protocols along the decentralization journey. And we've seen that in a couple of protocols. We've been very active in MakerDAO. We've been very active in Aave for a long time, in Optimism, Hop, some others. And these protocols are along different points in the decentralization journey. And DYDX, I think, is pretty unique because of the offering it has as this pub platform or derivatives platform in a decentralized fashion. I think that's pretty unique. Now we see some others coming, but definitely the first there. And then also the move to Cosmos is very exciting. We are pretty bullish on Cosmos. We have data for Osmosis, Juno, Evmos now, and a couple of others lined up, XLR, a couple more coming. So that seemed like the ideal point in time for us to get engaged. And we approached the foundation and are now on a grant to develop and research possibilities for how to transition delegates from V3 to V4. And that's obviously something that's super interesting to us. And other than that, we just hope to be able to help the community with any questions they have, any data insights they need. And just with our experience from multiple ecosystems and protocols in like how decentralization can look, what has been tried out there in the marketplace, what has succeeded under which conditions and what has not succeeded and why. And so I think we can offer some guidance or some experience there if requested.
Yeah, I appreciate the intro, Rafael, and nice to put a face to Flipside. I know like many team members actually comment in the different forums. Vic, for example, is the Flipside activist for DYDX. So yeah, nice to meet you and appreciate the background. Cool. Anyone else want to give a go at an intro? Craig, I'm looking you straight in the eye on my screen. Could you help and give an intro?
Yeah, sure. My name's Craig. I am 0xCLR on the forums and occasionally on Discord too. So I found DYDX as pretty much one of the first DeFi protocols that I interacted with, mainly just because my background is in derivatives trading. So the platform is very natural. It's very much like all of the other derivatives platforms out there. And I was just amazed that it still is one of the only DeFi protocols that actually competes 100% with a centralized player. You almost don't know that you're in DeFi when you're on the platform. So I started to use it initially, and I didn't really think that I could get involved with such a big protocol until one day I just started to play around and started seeing what needed to be done on the protocol and getting involved from there. So that's sort of my journey, how I got involved with DYDX specifically, and since then, the deeper I've dug, the more I've actually liked the protocol. I'm extremely bullish on DYDX. I think in terms of the exchange market share, how big it can get, the token, everything. It's just really, really powerful technology. And on top of that, I actually find the DAO very welcoming. Other DeFi DAOs can be I wouldn't say centralized, but there's almost like a layer between the grassroots community and the protocol itself that's quite difficult to penetrate. Where from day one in DYDX, you can say things on the forum, people will reply to you and take it seriously. So I find at every level, be it from community all the way to the tech, and the fact that DYDX maintains $30 billion in trading volume in Epoch is just incredible. I'm in the middle of a bear market. I mean, that's all that I have to, when people ask what I do, I just show them those numbers and they're blown away. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
That's awesome. Thanks. Yeah, I think before we go on, just want to, give a disclaimer that obviously this call right now is hosted by the foundation. So we do ask that, everyone just be cognizant of the usual disclaimers. So like no chats about like token price or whatsoever. So yeah, I know no one here is kind of like a newbie, but just, important to kind of make that disclaimer. Cool. Yeah, let's move on with another person who want to do an intro. Anyone from foundation can go as well. Just because I don't think like everyone here has met everyone. So maybe I can just take this on in the meantime. So my name is Clifton. I work on governance and growth for Southeast Asia over at the DYDX Foundation. Joined for about coming to a year actually in 5 days. So yeah, it's been a long year. Working in crypto feels like you don't sleep. Things always are happening, and yeah, just super excited for you guys to continue, leading the protocol, being active on the forums, and really want to try to harness a lot of these efforts and energy that you guys put into concrete actionable. So whether it's going through new proposals, through ideas that you guys have, or you guys giving ideas around DAO structuring, I think you guys all bring unique perspectives, and hopefully sessions like that can encourage you guys to kind of like hang out with each other more, exchange ideas, and then hopefully you guys can kind of work together and push out more discussions as we plan for V4. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. Anyone else wants to kind of like take this over and give a quick intro?
Yes, can I?
Of course you can.
Oh, can you hear me?
Are you at a bar? Are you drinking?
No, I'm not at the restaurant. No, cool. Not yet. Not yet drinking.
Not yet. Cool. Go ahead, Hisashi.
Yeah. So, sorry for the background noise. My name is Hisashi. I'm Japan lead for the Foundation. It's been almost 1 year since I joined Foundation, and it's been really great working with the team and community members like you guys. And I'm just excited that we are trying to do something that no one has achieved in a way, and trying to make V4 successful, and try to create great DAO even after V4. So very, very excited to be here. And that's my intro. And I also like to intro Aria here because he doesn't. He speaks Japanese really fluently, but he needs some translation. So maybe it's just better if I just let Aria speak in Japanese a little bit, and then I do some translation, and yeah.
Nice subtitling. Cool. Yeah. For it, man.
Thanks. Yeah. So, アリアさん、よろしければ、少し自己紹介お願いします。
はい。My name is Aria. I belong to the YDX Japan community, and I am not very good at English, so please let me speak in Japanese. 大木さん OK ですか？
どうぞ。はい。
ありがとうございます。私は日本の、広島に住んでいます。 で、2021年から DYDX に参加をしてまして、今、日本で2番目のデリゲートです。
Okay, so he's saying he's from Hiroshima, Japan, and he's joined. He's been using DYDX since 2020, and he became the second delegate in Japan, as far as we know. Yeah, that's it. どうぞ。次どうぞ。
はい、ありがとうございます。広島では、明日から G7 サミットが開催されるということで、この記念すべき日にDYDX のサミットに参加できてとても光栄です。
So in Hiroshima, there's going to be G7 summit happening from tomorrow. And he's just saying that he's happy to be at this version of summit, which is this meeting as well.
はい、私は、本職は法律事務所でコンサルタントをしています。コーポレートガバナンスの仕事を5年間務めてきました。
So his full-time job is he's working at a law firm as a consultant, and he's been working on corporate governance for quite some time.
はい。分散化、DYDX の分散化の、哲学にすごく魅力を感じて DYDX に参加しました。
And he's been really attracted to the philosophy of decentralization that DYDX is trying to achieve.
日本ではまだその DEX の存在があまり知られていないので、私はこの活動を通して、まずは DYDX のことを知ってもらうように努力しています。
So DEX, decentralized exchange, is not really well known in Japan yet, and he wants to make the DEX and DeFi in general to be well known in Japan by doing delegates at DYDX DAO.
その一環で今このような動くヘッジのようなものを作ってまして、これは自分の NFT を加工して作ったものです。
And part of his activity is to obviously, as you can see, this moving hedge. And I guess he wants to say that this and the hedge is really a great way to enter the DYDX world in a way. So basically, he says this is his NFT, and he just made it by himself. And どうぞ。
この活動を通じてもっともっと DYDX がエコシステムが拡大していくように頑張っていきたいと思います。以上です。
And lastly, he wants to expand the DYDX ecosystem, and he wants to contribute to that by doing delegate at DYDX. And that was his introduction. And thank you, guys.
Thank you. Yeah, Khan, go ahead. Or Mo, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. That was by mistake. But anyway, yeah, my name's Mo. I'm a community member. I'm not a delegate. I'm here to just support this initiative because I think it's really important that we set up strong foundations. And I think that's essentially what's going on here. Foundation team are facilitating this. And what got me into DYDX is I'm a degen trader. And that's how I got hooked on DYDX. And then I got more and more involved with the protocol. And yeah, I've been hooked ever since. That's it. I'll keep it short. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, man. You got to share your trading journal sometime with the community. Sure. Cool. Anyone else wants to give it a go?
Yeah, I can give a quick introduction. Sorry for the background. Hong Kong, I'm in India. I'm leading the GTM efforts for the foundation in India. It's really great. I mean, I'm meeting most of you for the first time. and it's finally nice to have some faces to the names that we interacted with. In India, the culture for DAO delegates is still very small. There are like not many people who are participating in DAO governance. There are a lot of builders. There are a lot of people building tools and contributing on the protocols from a technical viewpoint. But delegation and DAO management is still nascent in India. So I think that's another culture that we want to develop, and I'm focusing a lot on that. And it's finally great to meet you guys, know from your experience. And of course, some of these learnings I'll be taking to some of the key community members in India and trying to get them more involved. And of course, we'll see some new forum posts coming from some of the teams from India. And yeah, super excited for how the DAO shapes up and how Indian users and Indian community members can contribute to that.
Thanks, Karan. Okay, we are getting quite a few people coming in. Maybe we can do just like 2 more intros and then we can get started on like discussing a certain topic. James, my brother from Australia and the UK.
Yeah, I'll be quick.
Give an intro, yeah.
I think I've met the majority of you guys before, but for those who haven't seen me before as well, I'm James. I've been around at the foundation now for the last 18 months. Yeah, pretty much started last January. I was based out of Australia for the last kind of, I guess, 14, 15 of those, and now I'm back in my hometown in England, well, back in London. So yeah, I'm sort of the GTM lead for Europe right now from the foundation perspective. I was previously the community ecosystem lead. And yeah, I think I've interacted with the majority of you. But yeah, for those who I haven't, for the first time, I'm sure we will interact over the next kind of weeks and months as we kind of really help try and empower you guys to be more active and yeah, participate in governance and yeah, get you involved as much as we can really. And looking forward to seeing your contributions.
Thanks, sir. And last but not least, I would love if the face of UIDX outside of Antonio could actually, give a short speech. And I'm looking right at you, Alucard. Like your name is pasted everywhere in Discord and on Twitter, so you're the man. Go for it.
Oh boy, I wasn't expecting that. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Okay.
Immutable, you can go next.
Thumbs down, immutable. I appreciate it. Okay. My name is Alucard. I also go by Chris. I'm a community manager working with the DYDX Foundation. I've been around as well as an endorsed delegate. Very much like Alex, I also have a significant amount of delegation power that has been given to me. So I take that responsibility very seriously to interact in the forums and get feedback from the community and try to vote in the best interest of the collective for the DAO and trying to move the protocol forward. I also hand out POAPs on AMAs, so there will be one for this one as well later today. I'll let Clifton deal with that in a little bit. But yeah, I also handle some of the quest stuff. And yeah, I'm around, answer questions. So feel free to bug me or ping me if you need info on any part of the ecosystem or if you want to know who to talk to contribute and work in the DAO. So I'll leave it there for now.
I have a bunch of questions regarding current delegate system for the report I'm writing. Would you be the one to talk to?
Sure, I'll go on a call with you. We can talk about it.
Okay, thanks. Awesome. I can send you my questions in a Discord DM, and then you can do it async if you want.
Sounds good.
Cool. Yeah, thanks, Alucard. And as promised, just pasted the link to claim your POAP for this particular session. Secret word is Madrid, just because I'm actually a Real Madrid fan and I'm just a sore loser that they lost.
You lost this? Come on, man.
Yeah, fuck me. Yeah. I know. We have quite a few Madrid fans on the call. I think like Javier is one. Alucard, I know you're one since you're from Spain, and I'm definitely one. But ouch is right. So I'm gonna just use this opportunity to just put in Madrid and then just forget about it and move on. So yeah, be sure to kind of fill up the form, collect your POAP, and I think for subsequent calls, what we're trying to experiment on is trying to incentivize people to join and contribute to these discussions. So we might potentially look at rewarding people based on the number of POAPs that they collect. Nothing is kind of hashed out yet. But yeah, collecting POAPs is not going to cost you anything. So, go ahead and collect that and view it in your own wallet. Cool. And Immutable, since you gave a thumbs down, I want to hand you the mic as well, just for a quick 2-3 minutes. Could you introduce yourself real quick?
Yeah, for sure. Can you hear me clearly? Because there's a bit of an echo, so it might disrupt a bit. Perfect. So I'm a mutable lawyer, real name Joseph. I'm the guy you hear discuss laws, the boring stuff, basically. Thank you, Albert, for the thumbs down. Reciprocated. But yeah, I've been contributing now, and by contribution I mean participating in the Discord and helping other community members out for around 6-7 months now. I was actually introduced by Nick. My initial interest in the YDX, boringly enough, was when they launched the Guernsey Special Purpose Trust structure. I didn't like the way the interplay between having a beneficiary that need not be someone identifiable, but it can be a class of persons, in this case, the wallet address holding the YDX tokens. So I didn't like that interplay and the sort of legal flexibility given by Guernsey there. So it was a very good innovation on the part, a very good legal innovation. So that's where it started off. And then I started being more active in the YDX, I think in November-ish. Nick introduced me to Alucard, and I haven't done the same since. But yeah, I've been contributing on a myriad of topics, especially governance-related topics, and now I'm sort of entering the phase into trying to find ways in need of being a more active contributor in relation to actually doing stuff and performing tasks. And you see some of my forum posts on front-end decentralization, decentralization in general. And I'm currently working on 2 proposals which are trust-related as well. By way of an occupation, I'm a lawyer. I work at a crypto-focused regulatory consultancy firm. We offer services such as token legal opinions, licensing of crypto exchanges, decentralization and legal risk audits, progressive decentralization advice, and anything incidental to those topics, basically. And yeah, I'll probably bore a lot of people out with my topics on law and anything principle-oriented, I guess. But that's me. I can't hear you.
You're on mute, Cliff.
Oh, sorry.
Perfect.
Yeah, I was just going to say I have 2 questions for you, Joseph. Thanks for the intro. Not law-related at all. 1, do you really own a horse? And 2, do crypto lawyers really have to wear shirts to work or no? Can you just be in a t-shirt and be more comfortable?
Well, to answer those 2 questions, I own 3 horses at the moment, unfortunately, for my bank account. And this is one of those very rare days where I wore a shirt. And that wasn't because of this call, but to get some browser points, I'll say I wore it because of this call. But usually I wear my YDX hoodies.
Nice. Yeah, you're not going to get an extra POAP for wearing that shirt, but good effort, though. Yeah, thanks. Thanks, everyone, for kind of chiming in. Maybe we can, to Mo's point, maybe we can have a shirt day. So if you guys don't already have your DYDX swag, feel free to head over to our merch store and get something in. So yeah, let's maybe talk about something a little bit juicier, and then kind of want to pick your brains on what you guys are what your mental models are towards this particular topic. So I guess everyone knows that we're transiting to V4. So in your minds, what are some of the key challenges from a governance front as DYDX kind of transitions to V4? Anyone to give a go? I guess anyone from the foundation can raise their hands and speak about this as well. Oh, Rafael, there you go. Thank you.
Yeah,
go
thanks.
for it.
I think I just skip the queue. I'm sure there are many more questions coming up. One question we had is how do tokens move from one chain to the other? Because I think voting will happen on V4 going forward. And so my question is like, how do the tokens move from V3 to V4? What's planned there?
Yeah, so we don't exactly have an answer for that. So honestly, it's completely up to the community to kind of decide on that, discuss, deliberate on the forums. But just to answer it publicly and transparently, like we don't have a concrete answer for you right now. I believe DYDX Trading might be publishing some information soon on their blog, so keep a lookout for that. But yeah, I think just to kind of steer the conversation a little bit, Rafael, you did mention that like you're actually working on a grant to see how endorsed delegates can kind of transition over to V4, right? So at a high level, what are some of your thoughts right now?
Yeah, thanks. If I may, I can just run through like some of the thoughts we have. So basically, there is like two big possibilities that we think are very interesting. And one is that validators could basically delegate their voting power to delegates using this Auth-Z system that IBC SDK offers. We use that on a couple of IBC chains ourselves that we can vote on behalf of our validators that are then run by white label operators like Figment, for instance, or others. And it works really well. And it's something that makes governance a lot more inclusive because it allows people to vote without having to run a validator. And so I think this is like a big recommendation from our part to integrate that into the chain going forward. And the other system would be basically to have delegates run validators. And that could be either running them outright or using white label operators that run the validators on their behalf. We could help with liaising delegates to validators. The interesting thing here is that, and this kind of ties into my earlier question, that what we've seen on a lot of IBC chains is that you get this issue where you have this what's called stale stake. So you have this kind of supply of stake tokens that just collect rewards but don't participate in governance. And this is something that you ideally want to reduce for decentralization purposes, but also for purposes of governance security. And so I think anything that helps there is welcome, and that actually helping delegates set up their own validators would create a set of validators that's different from the usual IBC validator operators who are sure to come in and run validators. I think all the big names will be happy to run a validator on DYDX chain, but just broadening that set of options is definitely a good thing for the chain. And then using people who know the system, who already have a relationship with the DYDX, like the delegates, is a really good way to transition that.
Awesome, thanks. Anyone wants to kind of chime in?
I think, sorry,
you can go.
Josh from the foundation here. Nice to meet all of you. Was somebody else trying to talk? Sorry.
Yeah, I had a question for Rafael, but you can go, John.
Oh, I also had a question for him. I was just going to say, super, I think, interesting that the conversation's like progressing towards, use of this like Auth-Z module. I think it's like definitely something that we've been thinking about for a few weeks, months even, is about like, what does delegate transition look like in terms of like getting, I guess, like people to actually like use the Auth-Z module. I think like one of the bigger blockers is that like it's like a little bit complex to actually like go in and like grant somebody the authority to like state like message vote on their behalf. I think something that we were also interested in exploring and did like a little bit of research on is just like the concept of having also like more parameter specific delegation. So you can potentially extend like the message vote kind of line item to include like a specific parameter or a range of parameters. So you're not just delegating, 100% voting power to one specific delegate for, just in general. And I think the idea there is like, obviously, I think delegates have like different things that they're extremely competent at or excel at. And it seems, more fitting to potentially have like somebody that you delegate your stake weight to for topics involving like treasury management, or somebody you delegate your voting weight to in terms of risk parameters. So I think also something super interesting to potentially explore. But I agree with you that like authz seems super interesting. There's just like a big lack of a UI right now, so it's a little bit clunky to deal with. But also the delegates kind of running validators together is also super interesting, and something that we also kind of thought about in the background as well. But super interesting, just to hear kind of how you guys are thinking about it.
Yeah, that's great perspective. I mean, I'm happy to just like chat about this more, just like to see where you are at, where you are, what you have thought about and what you've tried, and where you kind of see potentials. I think like granular delegation is amazing, or having like these kind of councils where you have like a risk council that kind of does risk parameters, and then you have like some other councils that focus on like specific areas of the protocol. In terms of like delegation, granular delegation, I think this is really cool for people who are involved, but I think having also a very simple path just makes sure that you have more people delegating their tokens, because I think like that's just, if you require that, then it adds friction, which in turn reduces the amount of token holders who will delegate, because a lot of token holders are just very lazy from what we have experienced, and like I don't blame them. Like they already bought the token, right? Like you can't really expect them to do work for free on top of like buying the token, even though there's a certain kind of market alignment there. So I think that this is something to keep in mind and to balance, but allowing this kind of granularity in some way via some great UX I think that would be amazing. We haven't actually seen that happening now anywhere.
Thanks, Rafael. Alex?
Yeah. I wanted to ask about liquid staking. So people that wouldn't be able to run a validator, if there was a way. I know there's Stride, and we were looking into liquid staking DYDX on Cosmos. And do you have anything to say about Stride? I think that's the #1 protocol or blockchain that is used in Cosmos. I also hear about Quicksilver, but do you know anything about liquid staking?
So Fig might know a bit more about Stride. I think we kind of started engaging with them, and they are like looking to become a potential customer of ours. Maybe Fig can fill in some color there. Regarding liquid staking, so I think like I'm coming more from the Ethereum world, where like liquid staking is basically like that's the biggest game in town, right? We've seen that happening with Lido, with Rocket ETH, and now like a bunch of other providers, Coinbase even. And then on Solana, we have Marinade. And in Solana, that's actually quite interesting, because the approach that Marinade took was that they did liquid staking, but they used the stake that they get to distribute to smaller validators that still like satisfy certain like uptime criteria. So, you wouldn't have like a lot of slashing risk, but you'd still kind of spread or like thicken this kind of long tail of validator distribution, right? And I think that's a pretty powerful approach that you can take with liquid staking that allows people more flexibility with their tokens, but at the same time decentralizes the validator set.
Yeah, hey guys,
Thanks.
Rick here. I work with Rafael at Flipside. Sorry for being late. We've spoken with Stride before. I think it's a really interesting team. in terms of their maturity, it's a lot younger. Governance for them is just starting to be a priority. Data DAO partnerships haven't really happened yet, but it's definitely an option and something we'd be willing to discuss as well.
Yeah, thanks a lot for that, guys. Just to let you know, if anybody's interested, there's a call at 5, a Discord meeting with Stride, and I'll probably ask a few questions about that as well. But thanks a lot.
Thanks, guys. Before we move on, I kind of wanna put someone on the spot here. Zurexi Chan, are you there? Hi. Yeah, so you're actually the author of the post on transitioning endorsed delegates over to V4, and you put some initial thoughts there. So could you kind of share some of your thoughts on this topic?
Right. I think it's more or less like what everyone is talking about.
I'm sorry, you're actually a little soft. Is it just me, or is everyone also not able to hear him?
I can barely hear him as well, Cliff.
Oh, God. Okay, can you hear me? Is it better now?
Can you go a little bit louder, please?
Is it better now?
Yeah, perfect.
Slowly
Okay,
getting better.
Perfect.
There we
Thanks.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just overseas at the moment. So yeah, I think it's more or less aligned with what everyone has been really discussing so far. Be it for the delegates coming together, spin up validators, which of course the foundation is perhaps not really likely to involve the foundation because of all the costs involved, etc. Dual token systems in terms of governance on ETH, validators on Cosmos, but that will likely introduce some form of confusion as to how because after all, this is a dual token system, there's confusion, and then there's double spending, attacks, etc. And since this is a very huge transition, perhaps all these uncertainties, we should be trying to minimize it as well. I think in terms of OFZ, of course, that seems to be the direct track that everyone's really talking about right now, especially from the flip side, as what they've shared earlier. In terms of UI, I think we had a lot of comments from other projects that have actually shared about what they're working on, like Resolute. I'm not sure if some of you guys have seen on the forums. So at least there's some form of technical feasibility into implementing OFZ, and at least there is a UI that we can hopefully visualize as to how this works, and perhaps that will mark a first step for Flipside or anyone to kind of visualize and understand the process and refine it moving forward.
Thanks. I think just on a similar note, like we've been seeing quite a few validators actually posting their profiles on the forums. Not sure if you guys have actually seen those the influx of new posts. It's cool that validators are actually introducing themselves, but we're actually thinking of introducing a framework saying, what other chains are you actually actively validating on? And then just getting to know these validators better. I think it's super important just because they will be a new stakeholder when it comes to V4 governance. So are there any particular actionables you think the community should take to get to know these validators a little bit better? Like, do you think having an AMA with them would help, or or them posting and being more transparent about their activities would help? Anyone have any ideas here? All good at none. If you guys don't have any ideas, feel free to kind of comment in the forums if anything kind of pops up there. But yeah, I really appreciate everyone kind of chiming in there. I think there are many different options, whether it's utilizing OFZ or whether it's potentially delegates running their own validators. Yeah, so looking forward to the research report that you guys are gonna come up with. Rafael and Francis, right? Yeah, Francis. Yeah, anyone else wants to kind of comment on this topic?
I think on this particular topic, I think what will gain a lot of traction on V4 following its potential research and then probable implementation is potentially distributed validator technology. I think it's a new piece of tech stack that is being used more and more with consensus mechanisms that naturally operate via validators, and it's a sort of very simple and very high level. It's a multi-sig for validators, wherein one validator would be run by multiple entities. It could also be, off the top of my head, I have to look into it naturally, a good way of having an endorsed delegate run validators where the distributed validator technology would apply to the numerous endorsed delegates that would run the validator. However, that has to be, I think, looked into, but it could be a potential way of transitioning the endorsed delegates to V4. Yeah, I think on that point, that's all I have to say. With regards to the validators introductions, I think validators from a CV point of view, I think looking at their past performances or maybe having a sort of template on the forum of things that validators could fill out on the forum for the community to have a good idea of their past performance, their past market cap from a staking point of view on different chains, and these different criteria. I think it would be helpful because I think the posts I saw, they were a bit all over the place and they may not know exactly what details to put in. So maybe having a pinned template for validator introductions on the forum could be very helpful to get a harmonized data set for different validators.
Yeah, that's a super interesting perspective. I believe the only project that I've seen doing DVT is Obo Network for Ethereum. Haven't really done a lot of research on that front, but yeah, that could be an angle. Yeah, if it makes sense, would love it if you can kind of like put your thoughts down on that forum piece and have the community kind of deliberate on that perspective and see if it makes sense. Fig and Rafael, you guys said that the report is coming in 3 weeks. Cool. Yeah, so looking forward to that. Cool. Is there anything else that you guys kind of want to talk about? I know that I've been kind of like hogging the mic a lot and kind of steering the conversation, but again, want to make sure that this is an open space where anyone can kind of raise topics and do some back and forth. So we have several more minutes. If no one has any more topics to want to discuss with everyone else, then happy to kind of give everyone back some time.
Yeah, I think a last point from my end, and maybe this is a good forum to introduce or announce it, that a number of even endorsed delegates and core contributors and myself are currently drafting a proposal to set up a research committee, a research sub-DAO, call it whatever you may, in the form of a Guernsey non-charitable special purpose trust. The intention of this research committee will be to research a myriad of topics prior and post V4, and potentially and hopefully from this research committee, we can also span to other sub-DAOs, so to speak, that are purely focused on certain topics. Certain topics that will be research or risk mitigation, implementation of front-end hosting on V4 among different token holders, for example, and that ties into my post on front-end decentralization, liquid staking, governance frameworks on Cosmos, and how we can optimize governance on Cosmos, and basically other initiatives that could be suggested by the community. We're also planning to implement, should the proposal pass, an easy track governance module, which is very similar to what Lido Finance has in place. I'm very familiar with Lido, as we currently have previously worked with them in the past. So they have this easy track module wherein you can involve the community on more weekly or monthly decisions without having to go through the entirety of the governance progress. It operates via a veto mechanism. So, for example, if the research committee is intending on conducting, let's say 2 members of the research committee want to conduct research on a particular topic, they can basically put this to the easy track module, and the community can veto or otherwise abstain, which would be an approval to the committee allocating resources to researching that particular topic. I'm also working on a second proposal. I'm having a call with John actually from the Ops Trust to repurpose the Operations Trust. I think the Operations Trust could be repurposed very effectively and very efficiently to be, I think, independent contributor facing. So for shorter term or for even longer term projects that would not merit setting up a trust, I think the merge is one of them. They can apply to be independent contractors and contract with the Ops Fund or Ops Trust, to actually be funded to carry out this particular initiative. Naturally, this would be following community consent, but I think the Ops Trust can be repurposed and it can have a very valid position within the OID, except it is repurposed to be more independent contractor facing, and for independent contractors not having to set up an entity each and every time they want to carry out some form of initiative.
Cool. Yeah, appreciate your thoughts there. Really looking forward to seeing that post hit the forums. When can we expect that?
By end of month, hopefully.
End of month. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's a pretty good timeline. Anyone else wants to jump in here?
Yeah, maybe if I could just have one last say. I just wanted to draw attention to a proposal that I put through this morning around changing the minimum proposal thresholds for governance. The idea is to basically empower delegates for another important role that they can play, which is sponsoring proposals. Just to give everyone a high-level overview of what it looks like, most proposals need to go through either the short time lock executor or the Starkware executor currently, which requires a minimum proposal threshold of 5 million DYDX tokens. And I see this as a major blocker to the DAO developing. Any sub-DAO that needs a budget, for example, needs to find a sponsor with that much proposal power to in a single wallet to get their proposal passed. So I feel ideally we should probably look to just given the circulating supply of DYDX, I think 1 million for the short time lock is more appropriate and can help the DAO to just operate more decentralized, move quicker, and give a wider range of sponsors to work with when creating proposals, creating sub-DAOs, and anything to that effect. So yeah, I'd encourage you all to engage with that, think about it, and yeah, leave your comments and go from there.
Awesome. Thanks for flagging that out. Everyone, be sure to kind of check that in the forum. I just had a brief look through, very detailed. Thanks. Thanks for putting that up, Craig. Yeah, Joseph, go ahead.
That was by mistake, actually. I was looking for the clap emoji.
Okay, all good. 0xC-chan, did you make the same mistake, or do you want to chime in here?
Actually, I was just reading about the change in proposal threshold by Craig. I really agree, like, it's a step in the right direction to make it more accessible. But I actually just have, some questions with regards, since everyone's here right now, just have an open discussion on it. I'm just not sure, like, because a lot of these parameters, I'm not sure how much of it would change ahead of V4, and whether all these parameters as a whole will actually change in a Cosmos world, right? And for example, we can reduce it to 0.1%, we can reduce it to 0.2%, et cetera, 1 million tokens. So first step is, how many more holders are going to be in this bracket right now? Is it really going to empower more people? And even in Osmosis, right, we are looking at like 500 Osmo tokens that you just need to initiate a proposal. So, I'm not sure if it's a good time right now to change, or can we just remain status quo and just wait for more research, or to just relook at the whole governance structure to just have a more robust discussion about it? Yeah, so just something.
Yeah, if I could just give a 1 minute on the why now, it's a blocker to forming sub-DAOs. So I completely agree. V4 should be a whole separate story, and I think there should be a lot of research that goes into that. There's obviously a blank page as to how that could be set up, but between now and then, it's just very difficult to get things done if there's only 2 people that can propose a proposal. There's a lot of issues with that. So this is just to almost enable the formation of the DAO in anticipation of that. And then in V4, I would hope that there can be some research from anyone into a different governance framework, where anything can change.
Awesome. Thanks, 0xC-chan and Craig for kind of flagging out this discussion. Again, urge everyone to kind of look through the post and put in your comments accordingly. So yeah, we are at time. It is 9 a.m. Eastern. So I'm just posting the POAP link again. So again, secret word is Madrid, just because I'm a sore loser and Madrid lost to Man City yesterday. But yeah, feel free to claim your POAPs, and we'll definitely look to kind of host the second session of this. Hopefully we get a bigger turnout, and Looking forward to chatting with you guys again. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one. Bye.